Hey, welcome back to Tipperary Sports podcast, and I'm here with Nicholas. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Killian. I'm Nicholas Ryan there. I'm with Clare GA TV and RCB Radio here in Clare. So good to be on the Tipperary show.
We have a few questions to ask you. So, who inspired you to do the radio and why?
Well, I back in 2012, and I was I'm a carpenter by trade, so the work was very scarce. The downturn happened, and I went back and I went back to college for a year, and through that college, then I met a genealogist who was doing a show with RCB Radio in West Clare, and she said to me, why don't I join the sports section? I didn't think, that I would be able to, but I met the lads, and they were two nice lads, and I joined up with them, and I always loved
Yeah.
sports, so it appealed to me, especially GA and especially hurling, I suppose, and Kelly from
Yeah. And John, have your question there.
What was your first GA game you went to?
My first in my life, the first GA obviously when I was young that my father used to bring me, but my first Munster final was in 1973. It was Tipperary final, and my neighbours were going to the match, and I was a fella, and they asked me would I like, and I had to get permission from my mother, of course. Limerick won by a pint the last puck of the game, and that was my first the county Munster championship game. And I can still remember that day on Thurles. It was a huge thrill to get to Thurles as an 11-year-old boy. And I remember being down there. I remember Richie Bell scoring less than 10 years later. I would go to London, and I started hurling. I played with and Twiggy swore to me that ball was wide, and that Tipperary were done out of or at least a replay. But Twiggy was a great goalkeeper. He was a brilliant goalkeeper. He was only 18 years of age that time when he played for Tipperary, and he was great. I won a couple of championships in London with him. He was a fantastic player. But that's my first memory of a Munster final, big occasion for a small child down in Thurles, and I remember being behind the goals. The Ryan stand wasn't there that time. It was the simple stand, and we were behind the goals. And I can remember looking down out at these. They were my heroes, all those guys, like the Tipperary Limerick players that I went home. I wanted to be like them, so they were great players. Teams in the 70s, Tipperary, all those fellas. I remember Roger Rhymes and all that. I used to look at big full forward, and Francis Loughnane was an iconic player for Tipperary that time. And just love looking at those players, and reading about them and getting them GA magazines and all that. So it was a lovely time to be grown up, really. They were great. They were great men to look up at.
What was your favourite game to commentate and why?
My favourite game to commentate on God, there's a few, but I enjoyed the colleges games this year because Tulla Lee's Clare, and being at that match and commentating, and I really enjoyed it because I love to see young players coming on and up and coming young players, and seeing who's going to be the next big star, So it's being at the game and coming to any games, it's just electrifying to be there. So you get a lesson it's very early in the day, but it's really enjoyable game,
Yeah, go on.
Who is your favourite Clare player in hurling and football?
I suppose without, I have great players from years back. Jackie O'Gorman was a great player, and then he was as a young lad. Jackie O'Gorman, Noel Casey, they were my heroes when I was a young lad, especially Jackie O'Gorman. Later, then of course, you could pick half a dozen: Sean McMahon, Anthony Daly, James O'Connor. There was so many, my own clubmate, Milo Kane, I come from a small club. He played for the Clare team back in the 60s, and he was a superb player, corner forward. He used to always score. He was one of my favourite players as well. But I suppose if I had to pick an overall player, I mean, I've never seen a player like Tony Kelly. We're talking about Clare players.
Yeah.
Tony Kelly is just, he baffles me every time I see him. I'm looking at him, I'm saying, how did he do that? He was an incredible player. But, I'm just not just a Clare man. There's players down in Tipperary. I just love watching. I love watching Jason Ford.
Yeah.
I saw him kind of growing up. I went to see him in the Secret Cup and all that. He'd be one player. I just love his style. He's such a beautiful hurler and a great stick man. And then there's players down in Cork. Ray Cummins is a great childhood hero of mine as well. Not to go really that, but Tony Kelly would be my top. He's just off the chart really.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Tailteann Cup this year, last year?
What's I think of which?
What did you think of the Tailteann Cup?
In football,
Yeah.
I didn't give my favorite footballer, sorry, but my favourite footballer, Kerry, man. Kerry team at the 70s, 80s, and he was my favourite. But the Tailteann Cup, I thought, was a great competition. I thought it was great to have it. Westmeath won it, I think. It just proves that there is they were so thrilled to win it, which made it all the better, And it was great. It gives teams like Clare, like Limerick, like Tipperary now, even though they only won the final 2 years ago, which was fantastic. But so football is so competitive that I think there was badly needed for that, and I think that competition can be grown, and make it even better than what it was. But certainly it got off to a flying start this year.
Yeah. All right. Nathan, go on.
What did you think of the All-Stars?
The All-Stars, for me, they're never going to get it fully right. You're never going to pick 15 and say that's the best team in the country. I think that would be impossible. I'm not a fan of awards in general, but I think it's nice to, of course, it's great to reward players. But I think it was fairly a fair reflection. Any year it's fairly fair reflection. Generally, the All-Ireland champions and Limerick have been the ones over the last few years who got most of the. And you couldn't argue with that. We were very. In Clare, we got 2-3 players on, which was very, and that's what that was down to the Munster final. So we're delighted we don't get that many All-Stars. To get 3 was, we got 3, and that was brilliant for us to get that many All-Stars. It was the 2 or 3 we got, and Tony Kelly, and so it's it's a great competition. It's a great thing, but I'm not big into awards because it's a team sport.
What did you think of the eye gouge in the Derry and Galway match last year?
Which game was that?
Galway and Derry, I think.
In the football.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good game, yeah. I think, Jerry blazed the trail and won Ulster, and, were going really well, and I think players really stood up, and the likes of Shane Walsh and that, had really stood up, and I think that Derry were slightly inexperienced in what they were trying to do. It just probably cost them a little bit, but I think it was.
Nathan, go on.
What did you think of the All-Ireland finals this year?
In the hurling or the football?
Both.
Both of them. Well, for me, the football was yeah, the football, like, I think Galway left it behind them. You know, when they got close, and when they could have gone for the juggler, they seemed to play the ball around a bit, and they didn't really go for the juggler when they could have. And Kerry, being Kerry, were able to eat that win out. I thought it was a soft enough All Ireland for Kerry. You know, they got a few breaks along the way, but fair play to them, like they were the All Ireland champions. Don't get me wrong, but I thought Galway were a little bit naive, and they might have gone for more. You could nearly say the same about Kilkenny. There was time in. One thing I couldn't understand got that Kilkenny afforded Hegarty. I was at that match, and he seemed to get such an amount of room. He was a big difference.
Yeah.
He really was. I think what he scored, huge contribution. I mean, what a great player, like powerful player. He does the simple things. He stands up in the wing. He'll pop it over every time and get. No, Limerick have a superb team.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know, they stand bears now for the like, you know. But two good Ireland's, in all fairness.
Yeah. The effects of podcasts going on to radio. Your opinion on that?
Which podcast?
Like podcasts in general, like.
Oh yeah, well, I think they're great. You know, there's lads from Tipperary, Cork, Limerick, and Waterford, and for further feed. I love that. Love listening to lads. I love listening to their opinions, like in the former players, like who know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I think podcasts are a great thing now at the moment. And you know, when I'm driving there, I can turn on the podcast there if I go on a long journey, and I can stick it on the radio. And you listen to the lads, and they have good stories and funny stories. And yeah, I think they're wonderful wits at the moment, anyway. Yeah, they're fantastic.
So Nathan, go on.
Who do you think is going to win the Club All Ireland?
The Club All Ireland, you know, it's the interim team that are coming down, you know, they behave Shamrocks are a brilliant team. They've got, you know, TJ Reid, they have so many great players, you know, on the team. They're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah.
Custodal, I think, are going to come down with it. That St. Thomas's team is great experience,
Yeah.
and you know, when they beat them fairly and pulled away at the end, you know, so I wouldn't rule them out, but you'd have to say Ballyhale, you know, any team that beat Ballyhale will have earned an All Ireland title. Ballyhale were a great side, so yeah, it's an interesting final now. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. What's your hobbies outside of GA?
My hobbies, I used to play a small bit of golf, but it takes a lot of golf balls for me to play golf. But I like to play a bit of golf. I have dogs. I like to go up to the mountain and walk around the mountains. I've been down around the Glen of Aherlow walking. I've been up in the Galtee Mountains, and I like that. And I like going up around the Burn. You know, I like the peace and get away from everything. It's hard to find time. There's so many games on, but that's what I like to do in my spare time. And you know, just traveling around Ireland, I love as well. I've been all over Ireland many times, and I really enjoy that. I have a small little caravan. I head off up to Mayo or wherever it might be. You know, so I love that. Like, you know.
Yeah. So, why did you start YouTube?
Oh, I started YouTube by kind of almost by accident. When I got into the radio,
Yeah.
The first player I ever interviewed was Niall Gilligan, and Niall Gilligan, former Clare hurler.
Yeah.
He gave me such a great interview that he gave me great confidence. And then doing the radio, I got confidence. And somebody said it to me there, and then it's a friend of mine, Brian Quinn. He said, "Why don't we start up a YouTube channel?" And we did, and we called it Englishtown Forum. And then Brian kind of lost interest in it, so I then went in and I called it Clare TV. And then at the GA asked me to know would I change it to Clare GA TV. So it's just an interest, and I was the first one in 2017 to actually interview players out in the middle of the field, and everybody else started to do it. And so it's great to get players, like, to talk to players after matches.
Yeah. Nathan, do you have a question?
Why did you start the YouTube?
No, I already asked that.
Then I have no more questions.
Thank you, Nicholas, for coming on.
Yeah, it was just the YouTube thing was just a hobby.
Yeah.
And it still is a hobby. I don't really make much money out of it, but it gives you a chance to go into the middle of the field. I'm lucky enough to get a Munster GA pass, and I get out into the middle of the field. I meet all the great players from every county in Munster and in Ireland, and that really is a great thing for me. I'm like a child out there amongst them, really, and I really love that. That's why I do the YouTube channel, the Clare TV channel.
Right, thank you, Nicholas, for coming on.
Thank you, Nicholas.
My pleasure, Killian, and the best of luck to you down there in Tipperary. You beat us last Sunday. I thought you were going to ask me about the game last Sunday, but the best of luck to Tipperary. And we'll see you later on in the year, lads.
Thank you.
And thanks for having me on. I really enjoyed it. Thanks for you. God bless, lads.